What's up, Eagles Nation? Um, wow. You know the old adage is it can never be easy. It can never be easy. Boy, what a what a sloppy game that was last night. But I take heart in knowing that yet again it was another victory for the Eagles. They win 19-10 against the Oakland Raiders at the Link. They're still undefeated at home this season. Now 7-0 at home, 13-2 on the season, and they have the number one seed locked up in the NFC playoffs, which I do believe is big. I really do. Listen, I'm not going to say anything here that we don't already know. It was an ugly game last night for the offense. Nick Foles did not play well. He had a touchdown and an interception, and just made a lot of mistakes. I mean, it was not a very good game for the offensive line. They made mistakes. They weren't able to block very well up front. I do take heart in knowing that Steven Wisniewski will be back. Certainly for the playoffs at guard, and I think that will be a big plus for this team. I really would like to see them get the running game going, and I do think Wisniewski is going to help with that too. Listen, I mean, are there changes that need to be made? Absolutely. Is this something that you have to completely overhaul going into that? It would be the divisional round. I don't think so. I think you just need to change. I think you just need to tweak things here and there. I mean, look, we know that Nick Foles is not Carson Wentz, and you can't ask him to be Carson Wentz. You can't ask him to try to run for first downs or keep plays alive with his feet because that's just not his game. He is a bit of a statuesque quarterback in the pocket, but we have seen quarterbacks like that win in the playoffs. But that means that the offensive line has got to do a better job at protecting. And that means that Nick Foles has got to do a better job with the decision making. Now, a lot of these throws are high, over the receiver's hands. One that led to an interception. Another one almost went for an interception. It was a drop pass by Nelson, I believe. Would have been a pick six. Was not a great game by the quarterback. Was not a great game by the offense. But I take heart in this. And I know that look, Jalen Mills has got to clean up the being beat on the double moves. That's certainly something that he's got to clean up. They got to clean up because they were beaten yesterday. The only touchdown the Raiders scored was on a double move by Amari Cooper, and for a touchdown. Has to be cleaned up. But I will say this: the Eagles won that game last night because of their defense. And what were we doing a week ago? We were all complaining about how horrible they played against the Giants. And last night they had a pretty good game. And I know they made some mistakes. Talked about the Jalen Mills getting beat. They gave up a few runs here and there. But I'll tell you what, when it had to be, when stops had to be made, they made them. I mean, they were given short fields at times. They made stops. They got turnovers. They got the ball back for the offense. The defense won the football game. No doubt about it. And I do take heart in that because of how poor they looked a week prior at the Meadowlands against the Giants. And I will say this for that game. I do believe they kind of overlooked the Giants. And I think it was easy for them to kind of fall into a trap of feeling too good about things. And they're playing against the Giants team that has 2 wins on the season and just looks listless most of the season. And yeah, I mean, did they overlook them? They did. And they overlooked and I think that's what led to, how they played. I think last night the Eagles offense overlooked the Raiders defense. I really do. And I'm not making excuses, and I'm not saying it's right that they did this. But let's face it, they're at this point of the season where you know how important that game was last night. We all know this. It was for the number 1 seed in the NFC, which they were able to lock up. But you get to this point of the season, you're so close to the playoffs, it's almost like, let's get to the playoffs, and, it's a game, it's Christmas, oh, the Raiders aren't good, we're just going to show up, and that's when bad things happen. So I think it's a lesson learned the last 2 weeks. The defense the week before got beat by the Giants, but they made adjustments. They were able to play better last night. I know they got beat, the Amari Cooper touchdown, I know, but for the most part, they played well. And they got turnovers at big key moments of the game. One of them was right after the Eagles turned the ball over. The Eagles defense got the ball right back for them. That was key. That was big on the strip. I believe what was that at the time? It was the Marshawn Lynch strip, right? And they got big stops. The Raiders got 3 points in the second half. So again, I can't. I do take heart in how the defense turned around and played a good game last night. Now, look, are they going to play offenses like the Raiders in the playoffs? No. I mean, you're going to be playing the Saints. You're going to be playing possibly maybe the Seahawks or the Falcons or the Panthers or whoever. So you're going to be playing pretty good offenses in the playoffs. I do like the fact that those games are going to be played here. I think that there is such a thing as home field advantage. And I think this is a stadium that they've won an awful lot of games in the last few years. And it's become one of the toughest places to win for an opposing team. No opposing team has won this year. And even if Dallas somehow does win next week, well, they beat the backups. Congratulations. It's basically the same situation as it was a year ago, only reversed now. The Eagles are 13-2, and Dallas is not in the playoffs. Thank you, Seattle. Well, thank you, Dallas, too, because, Anyhow, that was a nice early Christmas gift. But, no, I get it. And I think that this fan base is one of the best fan bases at overanalyzing everything after a game, whether it's a win or a loss. We know how to really just dissect it and dissect it and dissect it and dissect it and just, you must excuse us for worrying the way we do, because this is a fan base that has yet to win the Super Bowl. This is a fan base that has been through a lot. I mean, we always have a reason to worry. Even when things are going great like this season, now you have the injuries, now you have the inconsistent play, now you have the play calling. There's one thing after another, and even though we've won 13 games or 13-2, number one seed wrapped up in the playoffs now, home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs, and the injuries, the game, play calling, the defense is getting burned, Nick Foles is looking horrible, all these different things. And I get it. We have been through as much as you can be through. We've had great players that have gotten hurt and lost for seasons. We've had great players be traded away, for no apparent reason. We've had great players not being re-signed for one reason or another. We've watched our team lose in 3 consecutive NFC title games, 2 of which at home. And then losing in the Super Bowl to the Patriots when Andy Reid couldn't do the clock management, and the team is moving like molasses when they need to really get going. Come on, guys, enough with the huddles. We have seen it all. We have seen it all, and we have been through as much as you can be through a team, with a team, without getting that title. And that's the next step. Now, will it happen this year? Who knows? I mean, I can't sit here and straight face tell you yes or no, because I don't know. I mean, the playoffs are a whole other animal. You get in there and it's just survive. It's survival mode. It's win in advance. But I will say this. I have always said this with football. There's no such thing as style points. At the end of the day, if it's a win, it's a good thing. If it's a loss, it's not. Because in the regular season, you have to have more wins than losses to make the playoffs, more than likely. Besides that one year where Seattle made it at 7-9, division title, right? The Beastquake year. So I always say that there's no such thing as style points. You just got to win. That's all you got to do. Okay? A game like last night, how many times, and let's be honest with ourselves, Eagle Nation, okay? How many times have we seen the Eagles lose a game like that last night? Okay? How many times? I remember years ago after the Deshaun Jackson punt return against the Giants, the miracle in the Meadowlands. Some people call it number 4, number 3, whatever you want to call it. One of the many miracles in the Meadowlands that the Eagles have been able to do against the Giants. I remember after that game, it was this week. It was week 16. Then the Eagles had a week 17 game at home against the hapless Minnesota Vikings with Joe frickin' Webb at quarterback. The game got postponed, got pushed back a couple days because of snow, which it should have been played that night, but okay, whatever. It got pushed back to Tuesday, and the Eagles lost that game to Joe Webb. Joe Webb, and the importance of that game was if the Eagles would have won that game, they would have had a first-round bye. They wouldn't have played the Packers that next week and the Boogeyman and Aaron Rodgers that next week in the playoffs, and who knows how that season could have ended. Who knows? So, and who knows how what would have happened to the Packers too, So it's one of those examples of when the Eagles, we were so sure there's no way they're going to lose this game. They're on such a high right now. They're at home, and then they lose. So I do take heart in the fact that they won that game. And that's, I think, the motto for this season. Find a way. And that's what this team has done all year long. They have found ways to win games. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's a W, it's not an L. And in the playoffs, when you can get that W in the column, that means you advance. So if you win a game 19-10 or 13-10 or whatever it is in the playoffs, if you win a Super Bowl 6-3, you still win. That's what it goes down in the record books as. You won the game. And I've seen so many examples of teams, great teams, that have to find a way to grind it out in the playoffs where not everything is going perfect. Now, let's face it, how many teams does everything go perfect for? Okay? So, I remember back in '99 when you had the Greatest Show on Turf Rams team, and they're hosting the NFC title game against the upstart Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they had to grind that game out. They couldn't do all the things that they were doing that year. They weren't pointing it up, scoring left and right on that Bucs defense, but they had to find a way to win it. And at the end of near the end of the fourth quarter, when they had to have a play, it was Warner to Ricky Prohl. Ricky Prohl, I think that was his only touchdown all year, or at least one of the few. But they found a way. At the end, they found a way to get to the Super Bowl, and then when they got there, they had to battle against Tennessee, and they won it by a yard. When the Titans, Dyson couldn't get that last yard. But they won. Does anyone say, well, they won the Super Bowl only by 1 yard? No, they won. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. The people, the Giant fans, they say, well, we won that one Super Bowl because Norwood missed the field goal. No, they won. That's all it is you win. Is it awesome? Is it great when everything works, when it clicks, and you just win a perfect game? You play a perfect game, and nothing stops you, and you just have this great game, and you win it? Absolutely. It looks better in the highlight reels. But at the end of the day, if you win, you win. And it's the same thing in the playoffs. It's the same thing in the regular season. Hey, some of the great wins, is it just an unexpected event that happens? Like the Deshaun Jackson punt return. That comeback in the Meadowlands. Or Elliott kicking the 61-yard field goal against the Giants this year. At the end of the day, it was a miraculous thing that won the game. But at the end of the day, it's a W. It's not an L. And how many times do we see, how many seasons go by that we see that L in games like that? That we feel, man, we should have had that one. Man, we should have had that one. What if the Eagles would have lost last night and then lose again this week against Dallas? And then Minnesota gets the number 1 seed. And the Eagles have to end up going there. So I understand it and I get it. And I was watching that game as frustrated as anyone else, as any other Eagle fan, going, why can't this offense move? What's going on? Come on, Nick Foles, what are you doing? Come on, Doug, with the better play calling, let's run the ball, let's do something, successful here. But I will tip the hat, and I will give full credit to this team for finding a way to get a win. In a game that they had to have to get the number 1 seed. Because you really didn't want it to come down to this week against Dallas, a divisional game, even though it was here. Yeah, now there's question marks. Oh, can we win? The whole... I'm glad they took care of business last night, and they found a way to get a win. And I will say this about the defense, and I know that they've given up plays, okay? But I will say this about the defense. The thing I love about this defense is in the fourth quarter, towards the end of games, when they absolutely need to make a play, that's what they've done. on the road I almost said St. Louis. I'm thinking about the greatest show on turf Rams. On the road in L.A. at the Coliseum late in the fourth quarter, trailing in the game, they get a huge turnover, and it leads to the go-ahead field goal, and then they stop the Rams again on that next possession and get the ball back. That was huge right there. And then you talk about the Giants game. Yeah, they were beat. I mean, they gave up play after play, but in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter with a lead, when you had to get a stop, that's exactly what they did. They got to stop. And yeah, the fans were making noise, and hey, how many opposing fan bases are going to get credited for on the road with a false start? I don't even see the 12s doing that in Seattle on the road, okay? Too many of those terrible towels in Pittsburgh doing that on the road, all right? We did that. The Eagle fans did that. But they did make the stop. They got the stop when they needed to most. Last night, they absolutely had to get a stop, a tie game, late fourth quarter. They get big turnovers. Darby with a huge interception that led to the go-ahead field goal. Huge kick, by the way, by Elliott. I know he missed a short one. It's amazing. He misses a short one and he kicks a 50-plus yarder to give them a lead. That's football, though. That's how it goes. As long as he kicks the one that counts the most, okay. But Elliott with a big field goal and that defense with a big turnover. And yeah, the last play of the game, the Raiders are trying to do the pitch game, and that's 2 out of the last 3 weeks, by the way. The Eagles intercepted it and went in for a touchdown to end the game. Jim Johnson's defense was known for the bend but don't break defense, right? How many times do we see the Eagles, even with those great defensive players back then, giving up plays, getting down the field, but when they had to make the stop, that's what they did. And that's what this defense is doing. And even last night, they lost Brandon Graham. One of their best pass rushers was gone with an ankle injury. And Chris Long stepped up and played like he played in his early days in St. Louis. The guy was amazing last night. Guys stepping up for other players that are out. That's what this team has done all year long. That's why they're 13-2. They have not allowed other things to get in the way. They had these goals, during the season, when the season's going on, win the NFC East. They did that. Get home field advantage. They did that. And now you got to take advantage of it. Absolutely. And it gets tough because you're going to play. And here's the thing. This is what people forget. You're rattling off all these teams. You only got to play 2 of them. You got to play one in the divisional round, and you got to play one in the NFC title game. And both of those teams got to come here. And I know that this isn't a perfect team. But I love the fact that we're home. And I love the fact that our fans have a chance to make a difference. Okay? Now me, I'm going to be watching the games here. I don't have tickets to the playoff games. I'm just going to watch the games here. And as I always do. In the man cave down there and root on the birds as I always do. But all you fans that are going to be at those games. Okay? The E-Rocks and all you guys and the tailgaters and all you guys that are going to be at those games. You guys have a chance to, and gals have a chance to make a difference and to help this team get to Minnesota in February. Because this team has 2 home games to win. And I know we lost some NFC title games in the past, but that's in the past. We're living in the now, okay? Dallas fans like to live in the past a lot. We will live right now, okay? This fan base has a chance to make a difference. The team needs you, obviously. Look, make your noise. Do what you do. Okay, don't throw things on the field. Okay, let's not. But make the noise be a difference. Let's remind those teams that come in here. Why this is a fan base that you should be afraid of. Without throwing things on the field, without physically harming people, but make that noise. Make that noise. Be the difference. I know the Seahawks like the 12th man, but be that next player for this team. Be the next man. The hell with the 12th man. Be the next man. The Eagles do the next man up. Be the next man. Okay? The next man. The next fan. Make that difference. It's been a long time since this team's won a home playoff game. Last time they won a home playoff game, I believe, is when they beat the Giants if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, those many years ago when Jeff Garcia was the quarterback and they got a winning field goal from David Akers. I think that was the last time they won a home playoff game. They have a chance to do it, and I'll tell you, I know there's some tough teams, and I know there's going to be challenges, and they're going to have to grind out games. But that's what the playoffs are all about. So in a way, I'm glad that they were given challenges these last few weeks. I'm glad they haven't had things easy like they did earlier in the season. Because these are the type of games that you need to have. And you need to win. Because these are the games you're going to be in the playoffs. This is exactly what you're going to see in the playoffs. Close games, hard-fought games. A turnover might be the difference here and there. You know, special teams can make a difference. This team still has a chance to do something special this year. And who knows? You know what? You deal with the Super Bowl if you get there. You know, the Patriots, the Steelers, whatever. You deal with that when you get there. Okay? So I'm not going to talk about the Super Bowl right now. I'm going to talk about the playoffs. Because that's what's ahead of them right now. And the first playoff game's in a couple weeks. Early January 2018 against to be decided. Right here in South Philly in the Link. Awesome. I congratulate the Philadelphia Eagles, and I thank them. Because a few short years ago, this team was so hard to watch. It was a dumpster fire, as I said before, the last year with Chip Kelly. It was horrendous. People leaving early in games, and we don't do that around here. This fan base does not leave early very often. It takes something like that to do it, and that season was as bad as it comes. And to go from that to 2 years later, we're 13-2 with a chance at 14-2. We'll see what happens next week. The backups will be playing. I would hope the starters play at least a quarter or so, or at least get some series, because they do have to keep getting work. Particularly with the fact you have the backup quarterback as your starter, he still needs work. The offensive line, you know, the running backs, everything, they need work. So I would hope that they would start for at least a quarter, maybe even a half this week against Dallas. You know, you don't want to give it to Dallas either, you know? I mean, you know. Even though the local fans have forgotten about who they are now that they're out of the playoffs. We haven't really heard from them very much this season, have we? We haven't really. Oh, you know. Yet again, they prove when everything's on the line, they can lose at home. In a big game situation, can't they? How you doing, Dallas, man? You doing okay this season? All right. I haven't heard from you. I'm a little worried. I've been concerned. You all haven't been as vocal this year as you were last year. I don't know why. Even, you know, the Santa Claus came by in the fire truck, and, you know, last year one of the helpers had the Dallas gloves on, and I was standing out there in my Eagles jacket and my Eagles Santa hat, and the guy showed me the glove, made sure I saw the Dallas star. I saw him this year. He didn't have the glove for some reason. I don't know why. I had my NFC East Division champ shirt on, and I had, you know, he didn't do his glove thing with me this year. I don't know why. It's odd. I enjoy it when they lose. But anyhow, look, what this team has done this year, and I know we've been through some tough ones. You know, obviously some difficult injuries, key players in key positions, but the fact, including an MVP candidate in Carson Wentz, and I still feel horrible about that. I really do. But the fact that this team continues to find ways to win, even last night, I think it's a testament to the belief of this team. And do I know what's going to happen in the playoffs? No. No one knows until the game's done and played. But will I sit here today and tell you that this team doesn't have a chance to get to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I know Nick Foles didn't play well last night, and I know the defense has had some issues. But there's 2 games at home to win to get there. And this fan base is going to be there for them. And it's going to be an electric atmosphere. And I can't wait for it. Because it's been a long time since we've been in the playoffs, for God's sakes. The last time we were in the playoffs was, 4 years ago? You know, losing to the Saints at home and Nick Foles in the 27-2 season, right? Chip Kelly's first year. My God, it's been a long time. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this, man. This is the first year in my season in the fan series that I get to talk about playoffs. Playoffs! It is! I'm excited for that. And you know what? Regardless of what happens in the playoffs, and I'm hoping that it ends in February in Minnesota. But whatever happens in the playoffs, I know that this team is set up for a long time. Because this quarterback, Carson Wentz, he's going to be there for another decade. We're going to have great seasons ahead. It doesn't end this year. It's only the beginning. And you can't take anything for granted. I get that. But the way that this team is set up and the moves that Howie's been able to do and having a great quarterback like Carson Wentz and having a team that believes, and not just for this season but for the foreseeable future, and it will be tough years. Look, it's not going to be like this. The Giants aren't always going to be horrible, and the Redskins and Dallas, yeah, I mean, there'll be battles. There will. But this team is there, man. This is one of those next up teams in this league. Because guess what, Patriot fans? Someday Belichick and Brady are going to retire, and you guys are going to just go back to rooting for the Red Sox. Okay, so I'm not, eventually their time is going to end. And the league doesn't have to be held hostage anymore by the Patriots, okay? So eventually that will end, and then there'll be other teams that have more of a chance to get in there. And the Eagles are certainly one of those next up teams. They just are. You got Carson Wentz. You're right in the mix. Okay? So I'm excited for the future, but I'm excited for the present. And I'm glad we have a 13-2 team. We have a number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs team. And will it be tough? Absolutely. There's some really good teams in the NFC. Maybe there's more better teams in the NFC right now than there are in the AFC, if you think about it. So the challenge to get to the Super Bowl might be even tougher in the NFC than it would be in the AFC. Okay? So is it going to be a challenge? Is it going to be tough? Absolutely. But I'm glad to have that, this season. Now, I would certainly welcome this, other than seasons where we're not in the playoffs, not having any playoffs to talk about, besides what are other teams doing. That's not as fun. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I'm glad they won that game last night to get it out of the way and to lock up the number 1 seed. It was ugly, absolutely, but sometimes you're going to have games like that. We all know this, watching this game for how many years. It's not always going to be pretty. It just isn't. Winning games in football is not always going to be pretty. Sometimes you have to win a game like this, including in the playoffs, maybe multiple games like this to win. But if you're meant to do it, you do it. So let's not be down on this team. Let's not be down on Foles and the defense and this and that. You know what? They need the energy in that stadium for those games. And Eagle fans, Eagle Nation that go to those games, I expect you all to give them that energy. And I know you will, because this is a great fan base. It really is. And we have something to really cheer for this season, and we should be happy about that. We really should. I know we love to dissect these games, and we go crazy, and I'm listening to Sports Talk Reds. All it is, the doom and gloom, why is this happening to us again, all this and that. I get it. And I know, as being a fan of this team since 1993, what that's all about. I've seen my share of disappointment with this team. I've seen some fun times, and I've had some bad times. And this season has been fun. It really has. And I look forward to the playoffs. And I look forward to, more so looking forward to them being here. For the first time since the last time they were in the Super Bowl, this team has the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. And it's an awesome thing. It really is. So let's enjoy it. Let's we'll watch this game this week against Dallas. There'll probably be the backups in there for most of the game, I would imagine. Not much to dissect after that one, regardless of how it goes. But but I am looking forward to the playoffs, and I'm happy. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of how they fought. I mean, this is the true Philadelphia team, if you think about it. You think about Rocky and all that and everything. I mean, the way this team has played and fought through everything, it is a Philadelphia story. What better city for this team to play in than right here? And what better city for this team to have the playoffs in than right here, in front of our fans? And I look forward to that, and I'm thankful for that. So, happy holidays. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas yesterday. I know we were given a very late Christmas gift last night with the Eagles winning, and happy Hanukkah to those of you who celebrate Hanukkah. I know that went through last week. I guess that ended. Of course, last night was Christmas. Yesterday was Christmas, I should say. And yeah, so the holidays are almost done. We got New Year's coming up. Very happy New Year to all my subscribers, to all my watchers, and of course to the rest of Eagles Nation. Happy New Year 2018. Hopefully 2018 we're given something we've always wanted. We'll see. We'll see. Still have some things to do and some things to shore up, but you know what? You never know. That's the funny thing about sports, is sometimes you just never know what can happen. But a happy New Year 2018 to all of you. And as always, let's go Birds. And I'll see you all around the channel, more than likely after this game against Dallas. And I don't really know how much you can break down that one, as I said. But I'll talk a little more about the playoffs and about what to kind of look forward to. Maybe by then we will know by then the seedings and what it would look like, who might play here in that divisional round, depending on who wins games. So we'll talk about that a little more after the final game of the regular season. Hey, maybe the backups will win. The way this season has gone, why not? Backups have already won games, right? Maybe the backups can win a game too. Boy, if Dallas loses to the backups, oh boy. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But anyhow, I'll see you all around the channel. For the local viewers, for those of you who go down New Year's Day, the Mummers Day Parade, have a great time. I usually just watch it on TV, but have a great time at that. And you know what? An early party to get ready even more, for the playoffs to come. So it's a festive time. We're all feeling good about things as good as we can, because Eagle fans, we can't always feel the greatest. There's always drama. But we can feel good about having the #1 seed in the NFC playoffs, and you take your chances at home against whoever they play in those games. All right, everyone. Like I said before, let's go Birds. Have a happy rest of the holiday season, and once again, Happy New Year 2018. And I'll see you guys in the next vid. Take care.